to understand what is the fate oblique the complications of multi of just a minute please. What is the fate or complications of a multinodular goiter? So let us talk about fate
Sir,
oblique. Yes, sir.
sir,
Can you see the? Please, if you have a question, kindly keep it for the end of the class. We'll be talking about that. We need to finish up quickly. So fate or complication of a multinodular goiter. Now, this is a very common question that is asked in short note for a 5 marks. Till now, we have made you understand what is a multinodular goiter. What is the clinical feature of a multinodular goiter? Now, I will again recap what is a multinodular goiter clinical feature so that you can have this written again and then you can write about the main problems. So, a multinodular goiter clinical feature starts with a diffuse disease. That means it is both the lobes that are affected. So it is a diffuse disease, number one. Number two, there is the surface of the gland is nodular. I hope you will agree with me in the video that I showed you. Point number three is consistency of the gland. What is the consistency of the gland? What is the consistency? Firm. If you have remembered up till this, the last one is the patient is euthyroid. That means, or the patient could be hypothyroid if it is arising in a background of iodine deficiency. So either euthyroid or hypothyroid. If you have made this picture in your khatas, this is something called as a multinodular goiter. Very simple bottom line thing. This is an MNG. Now, what can be the fate of an MNG? Fate or complication number one is it increases in size. The first thing is that it increases in size. The multinodular goiter, please remember, is that it increases in size. And when it increases in size, the increase in size is going to produce a compression of surrounding structure. So it is going to produce a compression of the surrounding structure. Okay. Now, what are the surrounding structures and what happens when they get compressed? Now, in the first class, I told you about this in a little bit. If the larynx is compressed, it leads to something called as a laryngomalacia, which is an uncommon finding because the thyroid doesn't extend up till the larynx. However, the trachea is a very common tube to be compressed and produces something called as a tracheomalacia. It can, so the two tubes that are compressed in the neck are laryngomalacia and tracheomalacia. Okay. Now, it can also compress upon the recurrent laryngeal nerve to produce hoarseness of voice, which is usually unilateral. It can compress upon the sympathetic chain to produce a condition that is called as Horner's syndrome. So I hope you have written up till this. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It can rarely compress upon the pharynx to produce a dysphagia. So the first problem is there is an increase in the size. An increase in the size can produce an compression of the surrounding structure. Okay. Now, so first situation complete. Let us talk of the second situation. Is
Can you scroll up
there?
first? 1 second. Yes, sir, done.
The next one is something called as a downward prolongation. Now, downward prolongation technically means that the goiter gradually goes in the superior mediastinum. The reason of this going into the superior mediastinum is technically because the pretracheal fascia is open in the inferior aspect. So that means if the trachea is coming down from the neck to the thorax, anything that is in front of the trachea, obviously, logic says that will always be tempted to come down, not because Isaac Newton is sitting below, but it is below that by gravity, and maybe because there is an suction force in the superior and mediastinum, we do not know why. But the most logical explanation is that when it is growing down, because of the pull of the gravity, the only thing that it can do is that it can come behind the sternum, or something called as a retrosternal prolongation. Now, why doesn't it go in front of the sternum? Well, it goes in front of the sternum also, but that is uncommon. What is important is why retrosternal is because the pretracheal layer is continuous in the superior mediastinum. So this is the answer that completes your description. Why does it go down at the superior mediastinum? Now, when there is a retrosternal prolongation, what is the bad thing that is going to happen? Retrosternal prolongation, remember, is going to produce a compression of the bronchus. The compression of the bronchus produces sleep apnea and carbon dioxide retention. Okay, please understand that. Now, retrosternal prolongation particularly can have a problem with the left recurrent laryngeal nerve palsy also. The next problem is it can produce compression of superior vena cava, SVC, at the thoracic inlet. Now, what is inlet is the same thing as an outlet. So both of these terms are the same thing. What is inlet is equal to outlet. But this patient thus will now present with what feature? So that means this is a patient who presented with a retrosternal extension. The goiter is behind the sternum. But how do you know that it is compressing upon the vein? The answer to this is because I can see multiple veins on the chest wall. I can see these multiple veins on the chest wall. Okay. So these multiple veins on the chest wall suggest that it is going in the superior mediastinum and it is compressing on the superior vena cava. This is understood clinically by a test called as Pemberton's test. This is understood clinically by a test called as Pemberton's test. Have you written up till this point? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Good, right. So this is the test that is done to do this. So I have talked about retrosternal prolongation. What are the problems in that? Okay, and just a few small picture how to do the Pemberton's test. You tell the patient to keep the hands above and be like this. Now in this picture, if you analyze this picture and think of it for a second, how does this maneuver increase the venous compression? How does this maneuver increase the venous compression?
Compresses the
The
jugular vein.
logic is very simple. If this is a bottle and this is the cork in the bottle, consider that this is the cork in the bottle. So when the man is going to raise the hands above, what are you doing with the cork? You are pushing the cork down. You can do it on your own self and you will see what happens to your neck. And what will be the problem for the patient? So the problem for the patient is something that happens in Tom and Jerry very frequently to Tom. Well. What is the problem that this Tom is having now? All the veins are congested. He becomes cyanosed. He has respiratory distress. So this test is called as Pemberton's test. So what is Pemberton test? For which condition is the Pemberton test done?
Retrosternal expansion.
Of this. And what is the basic logic in doing Pemberton? Is making a thoracic inlet or outlet obstruction. So this is what is the first thing that you are required to know. The next point, we are gradually coming to the end of the class. The next point is,
Sir, can you please
So-
explain this point again, like the Pemberton test mechanism?
the Pemberton test is that if this is the thyroid gland, if the hands are raised above, what happens is the gland is forced like this. This is the cork in the bottle. So this cork is pushed down in the bottle. So what happens to the pressure in the bottle? It is raised. So anything that is coming to the bottle, say for example, veins are coming to the thorax. What happens to those veins? They are compressed by the goiter. So if the veins are compressed by the goiter, all the blood is now in the face or the head neck region. So can you see that the face of the man, what has it become? The face of the man is congested now. So
Flushing.
this test is called flushing, is a Pemberton test. So remember that Pemberton test is only done when you expect or when you suspect what condition? Retrosternal prolongation. Okay, right. So if you have understood up till this, what are the complications till now? Compression, retrosternal prolongation. Third is, someone of you said perfectly right, these nodules in the multinodular goiter. Now, I do not know how many students are in your class like this. So remember that these are those students who were reading excessively. You say, yes, sir. What was the stimulus for the reading? Hello? What was the
Pulsatile
stimulus
PA.
for the reading?
Teacher.
Pulsatile
Teacher.
Was the
TFO.
pulse, was the teacher. Okay. Exam is over now. How many boys or girls are in your class who continue with their studies even after the exam is over? I do not know. I cannot see your hands. There will be a couple of them. What do you call those boys and girls in your class?
Nard.
What do? Nerd.
toxic.
We call them toxic, man. They say, oh my God, इसके साथ कोई मिलेगा नहीं, छोड़, ये तो पढ़ाई करता रहता है, बड़ा toxic बंदा है. So remember that we call them toxic. Now understand that what if one such nodule or couple of such nodules become independent of the response of TSH? They go on secreting. So now what happened is that it becomes independent of the TSH response, and they now go on secretion. Now these are all follicular nodules made of follicles. So what they can, or what is the material that can come out? T3, T4. So what will be the clinical problem with the patient? It is now called toxic. Very good. Or common word is toxic multinodular goiter. So the patient has all the signs of thyrotoxicosis, and what is usually a clinical perspective is it mainly affects the heart. These patients usually present to the cardiology OPD with a heart failure or
Atrial
arrhythmia,
fibrillation.
maybe bad things about the heart, etc. And that is very fatal for the patient, believe me. This is the typical profile is that the patient had this MNG for 10 to 15 years, and then one day the patient complains of an arrhythmia, atrial fibrillation, flutter, etc., and then you are a clinician who is wanting to search the cause of atrial fibrillation. What is the probable cause of atrial fibrillation then? Is the conversion of the disease to thyrotoxicosis. What is the TSH level then?
Low.
Decreased. Low, sir. Very
Low, very low. Okay. So this is what you are required to know as a complication, thyrotoxicosis. What is the average time to get into thyrotoxicosis?
Sir?
Is 10 to 15 years. Okay. Right. So if you have any questions, kindly keep it for the last. Let me talk about the last complication. Okay, can I proceed? Have you written up till this point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you have written up till the point, the last of the changes, and this is something again, someone said that these are the nodules, these are the nodules, and these nodules, as you have said, are those multinodular goiter. Now, the multinodular goiter growth stimulus was under the control of which hormone? Was under the control of which hormone? Was TSH. Okay, good. If it is under the control of TSH, what if this nodule becomes into an independent, normally functioning, but independent, normally functioning neoplastic nodule? That means the growth of the nodule from this to this is not dependent upon TSH anymore. So if this is a good nodule, this now becomes into what kind of nodule? A neoplastic nodule. So tell me, if it is from a follicular cell, what is the pathology then called as?
Follicular carcinoma.
Follicular carcinoma. Very good. And follicular carcinomas are known to go to which distant site?
Bones. Skull.
Particularly the skull bones. Okay. So this is what is the fate about a multinodular goiter. If you have written the notes, we have completed many short notes today, a part of a long, around 2 long questions also. What is the pathogenesis of these nodules and what are these? Have I made you understand till this point? Hello?
Sir, independent normally functioning nodule কি করে neoplastic nodule হয়ে যাচ্ছে একটু বলবেন?
That means till now they were dependent upon the teacher for the instruction. The problem is there are a few boys and girls in your class who do not listen to the teacher. Okay, they will go to read on their own. They are not toxic, but again remember that one day they tell the teacher ki bat photo yahan se ab se main class lunga. That is a neoplastic nodule, boss. So understand that that is a change in which a normal cell becomes into a cancer cell. Okay. Now, what I will not explain is what are the gene mutations that goes by, because that is not an undergraduate area and you will really be badly bored out. But when I talk about the follicular cancer and a papillary cancer, well, your question is extremely important. because definitely all of us understand that there will be a couple of gene mutations, isn't it? So you need good genes become bad genes. So there is a series of gene mutations which are responsible for making this normal cell into a cancer cell. We are not going to read that today. Have you understood up till this point?
Sir,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
নডিউলটা করছে না একটা নর্মাল সেল
Nodule, sir, nodule. We are talking not of papillary cancers. We are specifically talking of a follicular cancer. Okay.
sir, in toxic multinodular goiter also, the some
Hmm.
part was independent of TSH regulation.
No, absolutely. Yeah, toxic. It was
Yes,
some
sir,
part
in
was independent,
toxic-
right?
Yes, and the same is that in case of follicular carcinoma or something.
Exactly. But very
Uh.
good question. That means both of them look the same. Extremely good question. What is important is they are two different. Again, so a mother had 3 children. তিনটে ছেলে ছিল. One became multinodular goiter. One became a big, say for example, politician who was corrupt, and one became a very big terrorist, you may say. So these are the 3 ways. If follicular cancer and toxicities do not coexist, what is a cancer is not toxic, what is toxic is not a cancer.
Then, sir, how to differentiate between the two? Because in both
Very
there will be.
simple. Very simple, sir. What is the main thing in thyrotoxic? Sir, we'll be reading about that. When you please, it is good that you are having these questions. A thyrotoxicosis will present with what things? With heart failure,
Heart failure, yes.
Hypermetabolism,
or other signs of hypermetabolism.
tremors,
Cancer will present with what?
systemic symptoms, weight loss, malaise.
Symptoms. That's it. So cancer is a
Okay.
different disease.
Okay,
Thyrotoxicosis is a different disease. Okay. So completes this part. So
Okay.
acha, before we end, acha Shamulda ke just Shamulda কতক্ষণ আছে আরো? হ্যালো,
মিনিট
কতক্ষণ আছে? 10 মিনিট?
10-15
Okay.
মিনিট
10-15 মিনিট আছে।
8:10
8টা 10 এ ছাড়বো। So
couple of
what
questions.
before you talk about the question,
multinodular
एक minute, Dr. Sab. एक minute. Just a quick summary of today's class. What you have learned. Number 1, you have learnt about what is a goiter. You have learnt about the classification of a goiter. I hope you have taken down the notes. You have learnt about what is a nodule formation in details. I went very slow to make you understand. I have made you understand what is a colloid nodule. I have made you understand what is a multinodular goiter. What are common complications of a multinodular goiter? So this has been for today's class. This was a very important class because all your next future foundations, particularly the next class when you talk about a solitary thyroid nodule, we are going to talk about investigations and treatment. And then this is going to be the background about something which you need to understand before you talk about an STN in investigations. Because from STN, then we go to multinodular goiter, the investigations and the rest of the treatment, which is not that difficult for you once you have known the pathology. So next class, if time does allow, I think it will allow, we will be completing thyroiditis also. This is for the next class. Before you ask me questions on multinodular goiter or today's class, a couple of things, as I've said, we'll be ending the class with a few images and a few pictures. Okay, just
Excuse
give
sir,
me, yeah.
so can I ask
Okay,
a
can
question?
you just wait for 5 minutes kindly? Okay, right. A couple of questions for your image-based MCQ world. Identify this gentleman who was said to be the father of thyroid surgery. Okay, so these are all for your MCQs. If you want to take off from the class, okay, thank you. So these are all, these images are for your MCQs because people are going on asking these things for MCQ exams. Do you know this gentleman? This gentleman is called as Emil Theodore Kocher. Okay, who won a Nobel Prize in medicine in the year 1909. So his Nobel Prize one was on the pathology and the physiology of thyroid. So this is a common picture that you are given in your exams. Who is the father of thyroid surgery? This German surgeon was. We do not have time to talk about many of these histories. What is important for you to remember for an exam are what are the other names that goes by the term Cocker. Okay, the spelling of this is Kocher, Cocker. It is not Kocher. Please don't say this as Kocher. It is Cocker. Now, what are the things that goes by Cocker? I know of around 15 to 16 things by the name of Cocker. You are not required to know so many. This thing that you have in your screens now is called as Cocker's final year. If there are students, what are they called as?
Forceps.
Come on, man. I know this is a forceps.
Forceps. Forceps.
Arterial forceps.
Not arterial, sir. What is the word that I have written? Hemostatic forceps. What is the telltale mark of this? It has a tooth at the end. Okay. What is the use now? We don't use this instrument anymore. Maybe this is used in cord clamping or umbilical cord clamp. In obstetrics, they use it for artificial rupture of membrane. In general surgery, I do not know what is the use. Maybe it is used in a mastectomy operation, or maybe sometimes in an amputation. So those, remember that in your MCQ exams, this is the way questions are going to be. Cocker's hemostatic forceps, what is the use?
So what is ARM?
Artificial rupture of membrane. This is done by obstetricians to induce labor, or I do not know, to is a part of procedure. Okay. Cocker's subcostal incision. Which operation is done by this procedure? Very commonly asked in your syllabus. This incision. Very good. So this is open cholecystectomy. What is the details of this is not for today's discussion. This is called as Cocker's subcostal incision. Okay. What is the organ that is exposed? Sir, gallbladder. और कुछ ऑपरेशन हो सकता है? हाँ सर, bile duct और कुछ liver. You can be given this question in your MCQ and you will be asked about this part. What is the modification of a Cocker subcostal incision? See the modification. The modification can be, it can be extended to the other side. What is this incision called as?
Chevron.
Rooftop, not chevron. Chevron is different. This is a rooftop. Or what I can do is that I can make this incision, I can make a midline incision, and then I can make another incision like this. What is this incision called as?
Mercedes.
Oh, very good. Is Mercedes Benz. I plan to buy one. Mercedes Benz incision. Okay. So this is something that you are required to know. What is this incision called as? I have taught you this one. This is Cocker's
Collar incision.
thyroid. Okay, very good. Is a collar incision or a Cocker's thyroid incision. I have taught you this one and we will not talk about. What are the layers that is cut? Oh, हाँ, इतना अच्छा तो दिख रहा है डॉक्टर साहब. अरे, what is this thing that is being shown? After cutting the skin, what is?
Platysma.
Platysma.
Wow, very good. So this is the platysma. बहुत अच्छा लगा. Bah, very good. So this is the platysma. Very nice. Okay. What is the joint whose dislocation is being treated? Very simple maneuver.
Shoulder.
Very good. So this is a shoulder joint dislocation. Please know the technique. The technique is called as Cocker's method. Okay. The mnemonic to remember is TECH. AI. It is 8 o'clock now. मुझे चाय पीना है. Traction, external rotation, adduction, internal rotation. This is a very favorite MCQ in ortho. Okay. Cockerization. Which organ is being mobilized by this procedure? जल्दी जल्दी बोलिए मुझे. Which organ is being mobilized by the procedure?
Second part of duodenum.
Very good, very good, very good. Really appreciate this. So what is this color in green that I am doing, sir?
Pancreas.
Is the head of pancreas. Very good. So if I ask you, cockerization is done for which organ? The answer is duodenum. Which part of duodenum? Second part.
Second.
Okay. And what does it allow you to palpate? डॉक्टर साहब देखिए यहाँ पे. अरे ये क्या palpate हो रहा है? No, not gallbladder, sir. It is allowing you to palpate. Exactly. It allows you to palpate the bile duct. Bah, very good. And what is the operator palpating? देखिए तो. This is from a chapter on pancreatic tumor. He is palpating for a tumor in the head of the pancreas. So those I will be teaching you pancreatic neuroendocrine tumors, etc. He is palpating for a gastrinoma. Will not be learning today. We'll be doing it. But I hope you have remembered the name cockerization. Okay. Acha. This is another maneuver. They have removed all things on the right side to expose a beautiful structure. What is this structure that has been exposed?
IVC.
Is IVC. Very good. So what is this maneuver called as? It is called as an extended Cocker maneuver. Comes in your MCQ exams. Picture आता है exam में, and is also called as the cattle breast maneuver. Okay, which is equal to right medial visceral rotation. So another Cocker, extended Cocker. Which organ is exposed? Is the infrahepatic IVC. This one is an obsolete. I do not know whether you have been shown in ENT. Is called as
So
a
can we
Cocker.
go to previous picture once?
This is called as a thyroid dissector. We do not use it anymore. This is called as a Cocker's thyroid dissector. So many things with Cocker. Now, how many did you write on Cocker? At least 4 or 5, I think. Hello.
7.
7.
Wow, man, great. Okay. This instrument is not Cocker, but we'll read this later. Is something called as Joel's thyroid retractor. And comes in your exams. What is this device? This is used during a thyroidectomy to retract the flaps. I will show you a picture the next week or the next day to retract a skin flap. Bus. Okay. This is a complication of a wow. This is a complication of a thyroid surgery. Where is the keloid?
Chest.
Sternum mein upar
Sternum
wala chest wall.
Sternum.
Wow. This is on the chest. Very good. Okay. I thought about teaching STN today, but not today. Oh, acha, theek hai. This is which WHO grade of goiter? What is the
3.
WHO grade? Is it 3?
Grade
What is
Grade
the
1, grade
position?
2,
What is the position of the neck?
hyperextension.
Is hyperextension. Good. Really appreciate that. अब डॉक्टर साहब ये बताइए.
So thyroglossal cyst.
वाह. Did you see the video? अच्छा फिर से वीडियो
Yes, sir.
देखो.
Perfusion sir up.
Okay. So why does the thyroglossal cyst? If you have not seen a video, this is an excellent video to show you what is happening to this. Why does the thyroglossal cyst? So I think we
Moving
can
on.
now understand why is this a thyroglossal cyst? Why is this a thyroglossal cyst? So this is in the
Sir,
midline
Protrusion
and
of
moves
tongue.
with protrusion of
টাং
tongue.
প্রোট্রুশনের জন্য
Acha. And can you also appreciate देखो deglutition में भी नड़ता है. It is also moving on deglutition. Okay, good. So I hope you will remember this picture. This is a
Yes, sir.
thyroglossal cyst. Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm going to show another video. Is this a thyroid swelling? Yes or no?
No.
This is a lipoma. Why don't you say this is a thyroid swelling?
Because it does not move
Not
with
moving in
deglutition.
Exactly. So now tell me the last one point. To tell that this swelling is a thyroid swelling, what should be the minimum 2 criteria that I need?
Swelling
Number
at
one
thyroid
is
thyroid region
We do.
and thyroid region
deglutition এর সাথে
Is this swelling in the thyroid region?
yes
Yes,
sir.
sir.
no
Yes.
no
Yes,
sir
it is
no
in
sir
the no.
yes
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Come on, man. Thyroid region
Yes,
is
sir.
bounded superiorly by what? The
Thyroid
laryngeal
notch.
cartilage. And this one is clavicle.
literally
This one is
Sternocleidomastoid.
so come on, man. This is in the thyroid region. But why don't you say this is a thyroid swelling?
Because it is not a bilobed structure.
No, absolutely not. Because it does not
Deglutition.
it does not move with deglutition. Okay. So chalo. Complete. Thank you very much. Just 1 minute for question answer.
I
Sir,
have a doubt
which
if nodular goiter is bilateral or unilateral.
Well, sir, we have not talked about that today. We'll be teaching about that in the next class when I teach about something called solitary thyroid nodule.
MNG
Toxic MNG.
sir the toxic MNG after 10 to 15 years does it exaggerate to thyroid
Toxic MNG after 10 to 15 years? No.
when it turn to
Why?
Non-toxic MNG, that means to become into a toxic MNG, it takes 10 to 15 years. Initially, when an MNG forms, it is non-toxic.
oh
It takes 10 to 15 years to become toxic.
মানে ওটা থাইরোটক্সিকোসিস তো হচ্ছে না না
না, প্রথমে থাইরোটক্সিকোসিস নেই। থাইরোটক্সিকোসিস
Hello,
হতে
sir.
10 থেকে 15 বছর লাগবে।
So why retrosternal
মানে
prolongation causes particularly
toxic MNG টা
left
হতে 10 to 15 years লাগবে
Exactly.
it is not going to aggravate to thyrotoxicosis
See, I have not taught you thyrotoxicosis till now. If you are confused, we'll be teaching after the thyrotoxicosis class. Things will be
মানে এইটাই কনফিউজিং লাগছে মানে থাইরোটক্সিকোসিস কখন
No,
হচ্ছে,
no,
sir?
particularly
Thyrotoxicosis,
left
I mean,
RLN
just 1 minute. থাইরোটক্সিকোসিস আমি এখনো পড়াইনি, যখন পড়াবো কোশ্চেনটা আরেকবার মনে রাখো, তখন আমি কোশ্চেনটা উত্তর পেয়ে যাবো।
Sir,
toxic MNG
No, it is not a complication. Toxic MNG is a complication of multinuclear goiter. Okay, acha. Next question.
So why retrosternal prolongation causes left RLN palsy particularly? No, why
Come
not
on,
right?
man. Array, which RLN is in the thorax, left or right?
left.
Left. So that is the
Okay.
reason.
Sir, in multinodular goiter কি ওখানে যে common blood vessels থাকে তারপরে সেটা toxicosis হয়।
না আরেকবার বলো, বুঝতে পারলাম না কোশ্চেনটা, আমি
Sir,
আরেকবার
first
বলো।
আমরা এই multinodular goiter বলা হয়েছিল যে prominent vessels দেখা যায় and the main culprit for that is increase in VEGF.
Exactly.
তো স্যার এই colloidal goiter এও তো মানে আমরা অল্প হলেও blood vessels দেখতে পাই, তো
definitely.
তার রিজনেও কি VEGF এর increase এর জন্যই হচ্ছে?
জানি না। The honest confession is I do not know. Maybe. So
Sir,
definitely it is
Sir,
automatically, definitely it is obvious that when something is increasing in size, there will be little amount of VEGF that will always be secreted. Maybe for that reason.
স্যার টক্সিক এমএনজি আপনি বললেন যে হচ্ছে বিকজ ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট অফ টিএসএইচ। স্যার তো যদি টক্সিক এমএনজিটা ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট অফ টিএসএইচ হয় তবেও T3 T4 রিলিজের সাহায্যে টিএসএইচটা কমছে কি করে?
আরে
Feedback.
স্যার
feedback
ফিডব্যাক বুঝেছি,
mechanism.
স্যার ফিডব্যাক বুঝেছি, কিন্তু যদি একটা অর্গান একটা পার্টিকুলার উপরের হরমোনের এফেক্টে ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট থাকে তবে তো ফিডব্যাকটাও কাজ করার কথা নয়, তাই না?
না, ফিডব্যাক কাজ তো করছে তো। দেখো, ও T3 T4 বেশি তৈরি করছে। যে T3 T4 তৈরি করবে ও তো জানে না T3 T4 টা কোত্থেকে এসছে। ধরো আজকে কেউ ট্যাবলেট খেতে শুরু করলো T3 T4 এর, Does not matter T3 T4 টা করতে গেছে, pituitary will understand T3 T4 is more. So what will the pituitary do? Secretly TSH. That's it.
আচ্ছা
স্যার
আর
বলছি
স্যার
ইনফরমেশন
ফার্স্টে কি হাইপোথাইরয়েড আর ইউথাইরয়েড স্টেটে থাকে, তারপরে সেটা কমপ্লিকেশনস মানে এমএনজি এর কমপ্লিকেশনসে কি
Exactly. যখন মাল্টিনিউক্লিয়ার গয়টার থাকে তখন পেশেন্ট ইউথাইরয়েড থাকে কিংবা হাইপো থাকে। যখন টক্সিক এমএনজি হয়ে যায় তখন কিন্তু আর হাইপো নয়, তখন কিন্তু
তখন
হাইপার হয়ে যায়।
স্যার প্রিট্রাকিয়াল লেয়ার ইজ
hyperthyroidism
কন্টিনিউয়াস উইথ দ্য সুপিরিয়র
superior
মিডিয়াস্টেনাম, এটা একটু মানে বেটার বোঝাতে পারবেন, মানে একটু অ্যানাটমিক্যালি হোক বা মানে আমি ভিজুয়ালাইজ করতে
আচ্ছা
পারছি না।
আগে দাঁড়াও, শ্যামলদাকে জিজ্ঞেস করি। শ্যামলদা কতক্ষণ আছে বন্ধ করার আমাকে বলে দিও। হ্যালো,
থাকেন,
বলে দিও কখন বন্ধ করা, তুমি বন্ধ করে দিও।
ঠিক আছে।
This is the neck, this is the sternum, okay? This is the
আচ্ছা
manubrium, this is the sternum, and this pipe that you see that I have drawn is the trachea. This is the lungs.